Welcome, friends. We just discovered the first episode of Solaris Nights was on November 20th, 2020. That's in 19 days, would be 2 years. This is a long-ass running show. Certainly had a lot of episodes. I would like to ask some questions. Really, the main question I want to ask people here is, what would you do differently if you were running the show? Because we have several showrunners and creatives here. And about the rules, right? Because this whole thing was basically a beta test for rules I pulled out of my ass while on vacation and then updated every season with more ass pulls. And some of those rules, I think, got a little bit more used. Soldier was incredibly popular. The ability to say that you were gonna win initiative also was incredibly popular. Some of the classes went completely unused, essentially. And one thing I want to say is, I think making this show a popularity contest at the start was a mistake. Everyone pretty much rolled with it. I don't know how you felt, Stoner, because you were in part of the cut cast. Yeah. Sunderland, when he realized he didn't make the cut, was like, all right, well, I'm not showing up for anything else. And that's a really reasonable thing. Like, I tried to get him back in anytime we had guest stuff, but, you know, he was concerned that the audience had just not found him entertaining enough. So popularity contests suck, and King Damiel is joining us. So I guess I should repeat my origin questions are, what would you have done differently, and how did you feel about the rules? And then after that, you guys just do whatever you want. We got fucking 2 years of content to talk about. We've basically never sat down together and just talked about the show where it wasn't, and in 5 minutes we're gonna play for 7 hours straight. You know what I mean? We've had some crosstalk and we've had some stuff before the episode, but we've never sat down as a cast. So of course we should do it right here at the very end.
Put it in somewhere for sure.
My questions are on the table. Talk about whatever you want. You don't have to answer them. I'm just gonna start up Fate Grand Order here on my cell phone. Yeah.
So as far as the rules go, I mean, between seasons 1 and 2, I had I did a whole rules rework that I wrote up with some of my suggestions. I can't currently find it right now, but
I believe I accepted most of those.
Yeah, well, or like you know, put your own twist on them. But yeah, like that was there were definitely some classes that so like mech tech was a big one that was really popular. I think we had I think 3, because it was like Glimo, I think, started as a mech tech.
Yep.
Cosmo started as a mech tech, and did Hillbilly start as a mech tech? Yeah. So we had 3 starting mech techs, and then I think we had at least 2 people, I think, moved into it as a second or third career.
I think, none of my characters started or picked up mech tech. And that makes me sort of an anomaly.
Yeah.
In the early days, that +1 to repair was clutch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before the whales came in and fixed our financial problems.
Yeah.
Initially, it felt like getting the mech was like going to be more useful than it actually wound up being.
Yeah.
For me,
I agree.
Makes sense.
I thought at some point, you know, I'd pull that Jenner out, and it never happens.
Yeah, I'm bummed that I didn't get to use this wolfhound that apparently I owned this whole time.
Oh yeah.
I think sorry, go ahead, Lima.
I liked the core rules of, you know, Powered by Apocalypse. You know, that
The simplicity
you could
was
do
nice.
just about anything, but it might cost you a lot.
Mhm.
I liked that. I thought that was a really I think that also played really well in this, solo-esque system that we had.
Yeah, creates a lot of variety by results.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wish that there had been a little bit more room for some of the RP skills. Like I took Outsider and I used one of the moves once.
Mhm.
And that was, I mean, granted, I used it really well because I used to kill Saya, but
Oh man,
I
Saya Jade
tried
Falcon.
with
Still alive.
She is J Funk.
Kyle's stuff. I hit the idea that I had was for him to do a lot of getting involved in other people's lives.
Mm.
Like even just in the first Gladiator haul we had, he was like, "Yeah, let's just go to the Highlander building. I'll roll corporate for you there, buddy." Like it was, and I think we got more comfortable with the scheduling and stuff, and just started dropping into each other's episodes a lot more often in the second season, in order to get some of those social things to happen.
Yeah, I like. I think there was a difficult balance between taking things that benefited your character in their matches versus supporting the stable, because it was so not it became more common later on, but it was so rare that we would show up in each other's episodes early on that
Mhm.
there wasn't a whole lot of incentive to take those.
and I feel like we were a lot more cutthroat to each other, every man for himself in the first season. Like
Mhm.
especially around, the grind to try to make stable champion.
Mhm. And to
Yeah,
work
at the
to
same
work our way
time,
up
I
the
felt
ranks,
like first season I was more hesitant, or everyone was more hesitant to do things that directly messed with each other.
yeah, I think
Except
so
for
too.
Varen.
Yeah, wow, I mean, that's
Always
that's
Varen,
right?
yeah.
Pushed it. He did. Yeah.
Should be noted, Varen will join us in like an hour when he's off work. So
It's interesting because like when I made Kyle, I knew that there was going to be a rat race for some of the stuff like stable champion and things like that, and I figured that'd factor into some of the characters. So I intentionally made a character who was not ate up in any of the process. He was just there as a bored rich boy to play around and have some fun. And I think that played out really well. Not that he lasted very long, but the Black Warrior was supposed to be the cutthroat guy who was going to try real hard for position and work against the players if he had
What do you
to.
call that
and
arc? It's just like splat. Like
with Kane taking a break. Like it was
Pretty
he did
classic
Three
not
matches
stand
and a
out.
attitude
headshot.
right there.
That's
It was
what it
three
was.
matches in a headshot. There you go.
I thought I'd found, a kindred spirit for Hunter. We wrote that backstory together.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
was like,
God.
all right, like I
There was
finally
effort
got
put in.
someone anti-clan that Hunter can pal around with. Yeah, no, that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although weirdly, that allowed me to, have a scene with Seth that I didn't expect. So
Yeah.
I think one of my questions for the rest of y'all, and I'll answer it as well when we get to it. But like, what were your like in your character creation process? I know Kane just kind of talked about it a little bit with making Kyle somebody who wasn't, invested in the like what wasn't competing with the rest of us for like stable champion or like top the top dog spot. But what were some of the rest of your character motivations when you were bringing up like making your characters?
I really wanted Hunter when I first made him. I really wanted him to be a baby face. And then like halfway through season 1, all of a sudden I realized he was the villain. Like, you know, all of a sudden, like, he racked up what, like 6 kills by between the playtest and first season. Like,
True.
I mean, I think you were the first. You were the first killer too. I think. Right?
yes,
You,
yeah,
you
because I
did
had
the
the
your
DFA
first
episode.
session
and
of the
and I murdered
Yeah, man.
my guy with a
I want you to know that,
DFA.
like, in my head canon, that was like a double sidekick on that Atlas. Like,
Yeah.
Full on drop
was an
kick.
epic finish to that battle.
So what the Highlander arc, like, was that just because you're a big fan of Northwind Highlanders, or?
You know, I was looking for a weird hook, and you know, I like to play quirky characters, and I felt especially that, you know, basically a pro wrestling BattleTech show, you know, you wanted some sort of weird hook. So I talked with AP about this, and I was like, what if I made him a Highlander, but he's a phony? And so, you know, that, and AP is great about taking the foible that you've created for yourself and making your life miserable about it.
Indeed.
I'll second that. Like,
so
Congratulations, your brother's marrying into the mafia.
right.
yeah. Oh my god.
That was beautiful.
So I loved where we went with it. I did not expect like the whole Highlander story to wrap up, or the season 1 of it to wrap up with Hunter killing his uncle.
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of what I realized. All right, yeah, no, Hunter's just fucking evil. Like, you know, I mean, I mean, I made him as a spoiled 16-year-old brat, you know, from a wealthy Lyran family that, you know, oh, well, the Highlanders won't have me, so I'm just gonna be a spoiled rich Lyran brat.
I'm gonna go make my own
Highlander.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I didn't expect him to go like full on superpowered evil side until suddenly it did.
Now listen, audience, don't believe any of that bullshit that just came out of Glimo's mouth. The only thing he said that was true was that he was the villain in season 1 because he instigated the mafia arc a whole season early, and then all the players were just like, all the audience at home were just like, yeah, fuck the mafia. They, you know, like, sure, they're helpful, but also fuck them. And I was just like, ooh, this is not as nuanced as I wanted it to be. Because some people take me way too literally. I was joking.
The curse was real.
Listen.
Oh yeah.
You wanted a yes and I begrudgingly gave it to you.
I felt the begrudgment.
My first match,
I
I
did.
was cursed.
So
Oh
now
man.
what about we'll just kind of go around in the order here that's on my screen. So what about Hillbilly? He was, so I don't know that you knew this when you made him, but the Duchy of Andurian and the Andurian Succession is one of my favorite parts of BattleTech lore because I hate the Free Worlds League, and so I was very glad when Andurian was like, "Hey, we're leaving," and I was like, "Cool." And the Duchy of Andurian is awesome.
That didn't last very long. It was like 10 seconds, and then they were back.
Yeah.
We did a whole CattleTech episode about it.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Super fun.
Oh my god.
It was a lot of fun.
Shmao was such a great crossover villain too, because I could just have him show up and be like, "Good, you're doing excellent," and everyone would be like, "Oh, he's doing something villainous," and I'm just like, "Yes, I appreciate it, support you, and want to see you do well," and everyone's like, "What's his plan?"
Why?
He's too nice.
It hurt. Like, it was well done. I really appreciated Shmao for
Having
for
such
sure.
having such a villainous person in your corner rooting for you, genuinely.
Just like, what's going on?
Like, you
This
know,
can't be
twirling
good.
the mustache while he's like, "Yes,
Am
good job,
I the
win."
bad guy? Is like
Yeah.
immediately the question. 100%. No, like what for Hillbilly, what I had initially written down was demolition derbies, because like those were big in my hometown, and I imagined like Solaris being like WWE with like a demolition derby vibe, right? And then fun loving, independent, and gearhead. That was really like the only sort of direction I had with it. And then I just was browsing around in BattleTech lore and found Duchy of Andurian and that whole like shebang, and it just like felt right to me and just ran with that.
All right. So now I feel like I know Asator's because he's like, you know, former merc from a mercenary company. Like I feel like that's a character creation story near and dear to my own heart.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
That's, you know. But where did Elysian Fields come from?
You know, it's kind of sad to admit, but back during my days of playing infinite hours of Mech HQ and Mega Mech, Elysian Fields was one of my original merc companies that I came up with, and it had nowhere near as much lore back then. So I came up with a good bit of it for this character, and for Asator, it was mainly, I don't know a lot about wrestling, so I couldn't lean on a lot of the references and like character archetypes that are in pro wrestling. Like I have friends and family who are obsessed with it, but I haven't fully absorbed that mythos, So I decided to go with more like the front man of a death metal band was my original impetus for a look. But it kind of mellowed out into the ex-soldier. Like I picked ex-soldier just I hate to say it. I mean, it's just pretty damn meta. Like it's a strong choice.
I think it's the strongest class for sure.
So then I just kind of melded those two ideas together and realized that he's probably from a merc company that I've at least come up with a little lore of, and so just expanded on Elysian Fields as just where he's from. But yeah, I originally meant to lean way more into the death metal thing for sure. I have in my old notes that he looks like Nathan Explosion from Metalocalypse, if anyone's familiar.
Yes.
And I meant to originally act a little bit more like him too, but I don't know. I'm so rusty with role playing, too much of my own personality crept into it. And that includes like being too trusting of people, like, just
Varen.
always looking for the best in folks, that kind of thing. And that'll come into play later, I'm sure, when Varen gets here.
I want to hop in here. I think it's important that when we say strongest class, we definitely define strongest mechanically for battle.
For sure. Yes. That's true. Strongest arena class for sure.
There are a number of classes that didn't have a clear combat addition to them and were much stronger outside the arena. And most of them really didn't get played up that much. But I do want to say that at the end of all of Solaris Knights, the rank 1 unlimited class contender was in fact a humble backwoodsman from Andurian who repaired mechs for a living. So, you don't have to be an ex-soldier to make it to the top.
That's true.
Especially if you die along the way.
Kyle Morgan.
Surviving is enough.
Kyle Morgan came in as what was mechanically the weakest field class and was undefeated in the playtest and had the best record in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean,
Yeah.
your story through
Business.
Solaris Knights is like the luck going for and against you in beautiful and tragic ways.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth there.
I had a lot of plans for Kyle Morgan.
Kyle Morgan had a fucking story to tell. And he told a lot of it.
He did.
And more importantly, Kyle and Seth and Omega Tanaga told a really rad story together before several of them died all at once.
Yeah.
I do think like that the two I think the biggest two moments for me in the entire show, the biggest heartbreak was when we talked before the Omega Tanaga fight, and I knew that if I lost the fight, Kyle was gone, whether he lived or died.
Yeah.
he was going to become merchant cast out in clan space and never return, or he was going to die on that field unless he could beat Omega Tanaga. And in the days leading up to the match, talking like in the investor chat, trying to secure an SPA that I thought I was critical to being able to win that fight, and then not getting it. So going into it feeling like I could have had the tool I needed, but the coordination fell through. I'm going to do my best anyways, and had a very good, long, drawn-out fight with him anyways. So that was my biggest heartbreak, was like those whole 2 days of being like, oh no, this is it. This could be the end. And I think the biggest like positive note for me the entire game was like the 2 weeks after the Omega Tanaga fight, where I got direct messages from tons of people commiserating over the loss of Kyle Morgan. And that whole experience was so weird and strange and good to me, at least. So this is my first foray into doing anything on YouTube anyways, let alone a show. So, and I'd had some conversations with people in like the investor chat and stuff, but I didn't really know that people enjoyed the character until I got all those messages from audience members being like, no, we're so sorry. The character was amazing. We feel bad with you. And I was like, that's such a different experience. I really appreciated getting those messages. It really let me know that I was, entertaining people. So
That's good to hear, because I had to throw up a bunch of rules about how audience members could communicate with players due to a certain unnamed show with 2 seasons that was fucking disastrous. Let's just say it outright. The audience, a small but loud portion of the audience, turned against the players of the show and intentionally took them over repeatedly. So it's good to hear that the audience in private, where I can't see them, was behaving themselves.
yeah, I'd have to go back and look, and it's been a hot minute since Kyle died, but I'd venture to say about 15 people reached out to me to
Jesus Christ.
to say how much they loved my character.
I don't even get 15 comments on that video. What the heck? Where's this? Where's that love, guys? Give me that love.
On YouTube.
Yeah, with those YouTube comments, I get more
look at it.
engagement, right? So we do, if more comments equals more shows. That's all I'm saying, guys. Listen, now that I know that you could do it and you just have chose not to. Jeez.
You guys, you heard it here first. If you comment on AP's video, he'll make more BattleTech content.
That's right.
I just want to mention it here for people that didn't see the BattleTech Project Athena. I am going to maybe make another BattleTech show that will have audience interaction, but it will be set in a totally different new canon that is less shitty. And it'll be Alpha Strike, since I don't want to be sitting here playing like 3-hour-long battles anymore.
For 6 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you mentioned company-sized engagement at one point. I should have realized that was Alpha. That automatically is Alpha Strike.
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing a company level battle with the class rules?
I have done several different company level engagements.
Like the infinite finale of Time of Total Warfare.
Jesus Christ, that finale.
Endosteel was
Endosteel, like a whole season was just one battle.
Yeah.
What about for other people, like their highest moment and their most heartbreaking moment?
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Like,
how many times did I crush Seth? I'm thinking killing Kyle, killing the Wolf guy from the Sergey Wolf.
Sergey fucking Wolf. And I never got vengeance for him either, because fucking Omega Tanaga,
he killed himself. Yeah. Zare One Eye. You killed Zilia, which was a low point for me. I was gonna make Zilia Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair himself and be like a recurring frenemy, and you just went up and killed him immediately. Yeah. The most electrifying mech warrior on Solaris.
So I think Seth's what was his highest moment?
Getting to
I
be a
don't
bear
know.
again.
Yeah, like like honestly, yeah, man, that was probably one of his best
Always
moments
look on
was
the bright
was
side.
losing to Star Colonel Carl Delviller in the series finale. And probably one of his most heartbreaking moments was, fucking a lot of them, dude. Like losing, well, it's like losing to Kyle wasn't heartbreaking, but man, he wanted to win. But so like that, yeah, Sergey dying was probably a really big one because that was like the first friend that he'd made on Solaris, and then like it was shortly thereafter he was killed by the villain of season 1.
Yeah, Sergey Wolf was sort of a vehicle to get Kyle and Seth together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, Seth had a lot of moments where he's like, this is not going the way that I want it to go. But he ended up I feel like his arc was very cyclical. But
True.
I think I know Gleemo's lowest moment though. Was his match with Kingmaker. Where just,
Wow, that was real early.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
it
no,
was
he had
bad
a long
too.
way to fall from that.
That really sort of that was it the double LB10s just absolutely slaying him, and then he started getting into like the blood sports and the underground circuit and all that, and I was like, this is the beginning.
He took a
That
dark
in my
turn
mind
after
was
that.
the beginning of Hunter's villain arc.
Pretty
He
much.
went from spoiled to fuck you, and I was like, after that, I think this is the moment where he decided to do that.
Like Hunter, like my favorite moment with Hunter was the first play test, like that first episode ending on the Highlander burial. Like,
Yeah.
This is all he lives for.
I
Highlander
don't think I ever
barials.
hit that high note with him
Well,
again.
and
I mean,
especially because you called it beforehand.
Yeah.
Like that was the fucking best
Yeah.
part, dude.
The thing you usually avoid for purposes of jinxing yourself. You just leaned right into it and nailed it,
Yeah. That was you literally went you pointed to the fence and then you hit the home run.
I really did want to make Hunter not a killer. Like, if you go back and watch the beginning of that first episode, like, I was like, like, who is his opponent, Zhongxi or something like that? I was like, like, you shouldn't be like, saying that you want to, like, we're all here to put on a show and things like that. Yeah, and then I just murdered him and kept being a murder hobo for
Hell
the
of a
rest
show.
Like, well, I kept getting the magic double sixes on a Gauss rifle. And took out so many of AP's great characters that he spent so long, like his chivalrous guy that
My God. Hey, would you sign a
Sorry, that was
petition
tragic,
to get rid of one-shot cockpit weapons with me? And you're like, no, and then killed him.
yeah. And then I
Let me just
that
put this Goss neatly between your feet real quick.
Heartless.
Because
Brutal.
then Seth's
Rude.
next episode, somebody was like, well, what do you have to say about this? It's like, it's really his own fault because he just stood there and took it.
I think the thing I'm most sad about is that we didn't play up the I don't think we played up enough the rivalry between Seth and Hunter that we started with. Like, just like,
Oh, I don't know about that. I thought it was pretty intense. I thought you guys were going to kill each other.
I mean,
You almost did.
I feel like it reached a peak towards the end of the first season and the beginning of the second one, and then they sort of like got other things to get up to.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
Kyle's
that
death
the
was
thing,
also
like,
an interesting
real
way to get
life,
you guys to talk.
Our schedules didn't match up that we could like hang out, and and also, AP was trying to advance the storyline, and like it was like, no, you can't just keep having all these guest arcs where nothing happens. Which totally fair. Because once we realized we could do that, we started doing it all the time.
To farm glory, yeah.
To farm glory.
Yeah, that's the.
You can't tell me you guys didn't do that, because there were episodes where people were like, so we all have the glory move, right? We all give each other +3 glory. And I was just like, okay, come on now, guys. At least try to hide it a little.
The season 2 glory machine that was Seth.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so good. Like, because I was like, oh, okay, so because Seth's character like inspiration was a real life guy named MJF from AEW wrestling, who is their like top heel, and I was like, I have to be a heel. And as soon as I was like, okay, I can take heat, and then I can take this other move where if we show up together, I get a glory and I give somebody else a glory, so I can theoretically get like 2 to 3 glory a match if I show up with the right people. Like, so yeah, man, I was rolling in glory, and then at the end of season 2, I think I had like 6 glory, and then AP's like, it's all gone. Everybody starts with 2, and I was like, motherfucker.
It was years of time skip.
What if we could have cashed it in?
Sure, you had a Maserati nobody knew about.
I also thought it was fun how the choices that we made such despairingly different characters at different times. Like taking the training with Saya super seriously and not wanting to shit talk my opponents meant that I was earning a third of the XP that everyone else was.
I had a stream of interns to take care of. So like everybody had more experience than me. At the end of this, everybody had like 2 more levels than me.
So I think
Me
that was
too.
one of the
I was down there
keys.
with you.
Yeah. So like that was one of the keys to Seth's success, was he didn't have an intern to train in season 2.
I never got to train with Brody.
On the other hand, you guys helped raise some of the show's most pivotal NPCs.
That's right.
I mentioned earlier briefly that Saya was still alive. Lawson has been commissioning art and writing fan fiction of Saya getting isekai'd into a fantasy RPG world where she works the desk at an adventuring guild.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
As a point of
Wow.
But she's still Jade
curiosity.
Falcon.
As a point of curiosity, how would Kyle, having not died in season 1, have had any adverse effect on your plans for Saya?
No. Saya, well, let me think about that. At this point, I honestly can't recall. I know that Saya was on a path that you had chosen for her. And you know what? Let's say yes. When Kyle was dead, Saya shifted to hardline crusader. Her loyalty was no longer divided, and she answered directly to the clan, which meant that she started going up against Seth for, in a way that eventually would cost her life. Yeah, I think that Kyle's death probably did set her on a path. I don't know that his living would have changed it. I can't tell you that for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, there would have been a fork in the road at some point where she goes down the path she went down, or
well, probably you would have had an opportunity to change it. You know what I mean? A dice roll or something. Like that time you killed one of the trainees. One of you did. I don't remember who.
I definitely made that roll.
Okay, yeah.
Good to admit it.
oh no.
Killing, yeah.
Oh, it's Dunamis' trainee. Yes.
I was like, yeah, sure. You want to come do some live fire against the clan chick? Absolutely.
Kills
Oh, you died. Okay. This is going to get real awkward in a future episode. And then remembering after the fact that I hadn't used my edge.
I knew at the time, and the audience was like, why didn't he use his edge? I was like, I don't know.
I
know how that
genuinely
feels.
forgot. Like the result was so shocking to me. I was like, wow, that happened.
I mean, the thing is, I was explaining, I think as you were rolling, I was explaining if you rolled double once, he would die. And then the roll hit the table and you were just like, what?
Did you say something?
Yeah, hang on. What did you say?
Spoon, have we gone around the clock for the people you had wanted to talk to? I want to make sure we...
The last one, I think the only character we haven't talked about with inspirations is Carl Delviller. We talked about a little bit about, everybody went around, and then, you know, Kane has 3 to do.
Yeah, I've got 3 characters. So when I made Kyle, I wanted to make the fun-loving team support kind of guy to try to help people push their stories. And I thought it'd be really easy to do as the guy who's only ever lived in his money palace. When we were doing the character things, I was reading through the playbook and I read Patron. I was like, fantastic. Rich person or noble? Definitely not playing a noble. I'll play a rich boy.
I love the suit too. The suit was amazing.
Nice touch. Yeah, for sure.
So that was his motivation. And I tried to lean into it with stuff like helping Hunter get a shot at actually becoming a Highlander and stuff. When I made my pirate boy, my Black Warrior, my goal was I wanted to have a guy who came in with his deplorable bad history and ended up becoming like good. Try to be a champion of the unfortunate and whatnot. Clearly never happened. And then when Carl Delviller came in, like I knew a lot of people were leaning into the WWE thing, but with Carl Delviller, I leaned really hard into more of the blood sport gladiator type thing. And I was trying to come up with an idea for what I wanted to do, and then the conversation came up for Fat Thor. And then somebody was like, you got to do something crazy, like just play a clanner now. You've played the wannabe clanner, the anti-clanner. I mean,
that was
the
me.
only thing left
I
is to
said
be a
that.
clanner. Yeah.
I also was the one that suggested Fat Thor. Your whole character came from me. I just didn't want to say it.
And when you were like, yeah, no, we can, we'll just play in battle mechs that are, have bigger cockpits or more space to modify a cockpit. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll Direwolf is big. Let's do that.
Now, what I said was, you had said you wanted to see a clan arc. And I thought, running a clan arc in Battletech is like running a Nazi arc in a World War II RPG. It's going to be real hard to do well. So I gave us the Saya arc. But then we got to the point where you were on your 3rd character, and I was like, but what if you were clan?
So
trust.
So I figured one of the fun things to do would be to lean into the blood sport side of it, because it seemed like people were really gravitating towards the Hunter
McGregor killing people.
Sport.
Yeah.
It seemed like a lot of people were leaning into the entertainment sport of WWE, and then Hunter just accidentally killing people left and right.
Some of it wasn't accidental, man.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be fun to lean into the bloody side of the gladiator thing, and I thought it would also be fun to illustrate to people the change that Seth had gone through from the beginning of the game, because he'd really made a lot of changes in the 2nd season, especially, and towards the end of the 1st season. So having somebody come in as a hardline clanner for his clan, and it was especially appropriate picking Ghost Bear so people could see how far Seth was from being a Ghost Bear anymore. And to see some of the things that he was doing that really weren't clanner anymore. I thought it'd be a fun little illustration.
All right.
That end.
Yeah. I mean, he was Ghost Bear once more.
Yeah, I was saying it ended with, Carl Delviller riding on the shoulder of Seth Mech, invading some probably Draconis Combine world.
Counter push on Alshane.
The pirate was the only character that I made with meta decisions in mind. I was going to have him go for cost weapons, and I wanted him to try to catch up for being behind by making him like pretty good on the field. But the successful characters, Kyle Morgan came in as a 4/4 pilot. Almost never asked for SPAs, just the one he needed to squeeze through. And then Carl Delviller had an SPA he never used, and he had a second one that was just an infantry SPA, just because it was great and flavorful. Like,
you made one of the classic blenders, Scrap Dragon, and that was when you showed people that you could survive on minimal resources. They then expected you to work on minimal resources to save the stockholders money.
Yeah.
And they
I
let the
was
full like addicted gambler arc there for a minute. The crowd did. They were like, "Keep going, keep going."
That was
keep
Zonalar
scratching."
for sure. Zonalar
Yeah.
memed the shit out of that.
Yeah.
and it fed into the part of the thing that I made with the character of him being like without that was his excitement in life was gambling. Just coming there, gambling his life, gambling and the money was the only way that was his source of excitement in his life. So when he came up with this suggestion as a player, I was like, oh dear God, my character's so hosed. But as a as a character, he was super excited for the challenge. And I don't think anybody tried to do that after the 4-4 pilot managed to pull that off. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because people kept being like, all right, well, what's the next dragon gonna be? What's the next dragon gonna be? And it never
Never
really,
happened.
Yeah.
It was only the scrap dragon.
I said I wasn't going to ask any other questions, but we do have like an extra hour and 10 minutes we got to fill here, and I'm worried we aren't going to do it. So let me ask a triple part question, which I think can be answered by everybody pretty quickly. Who is your favorite member of the stable? Who's your favorite NPC? And who's your favorite audience member? Stonar, you look like you have something to say.
I have my answers, but
I was just gonna say, I mean, considering I have an entire VTuber avatar based on Sonalar's Urbi Incarnation thing, I gotta give it up to him for that, you know. But you know, damn, I'm also laughing because I don't know exactly who I would choose for favorite Gladiator. I mean, there's so many cool qualities here to choose from. You know what I mean? Like, I need to think on that part.
Amazing. You didn't just say yourself. That would have been my go-to.
You know, that's a pretty good move. I had some cool ideas I never got to execute, so would have been if I pulled it off. How about that? NPC though, damn, I'm really not sure about NPCs. I feel for Elizabeth a lot. Like just being forced to take care of these absolute man children.
For sure.
Nobody really made it that easy for her.
I like Elizabeth so much that I'm just taking the character basically wholesale and moving her into Stars Rising as the captain of the Spelljammer.
Perfect.
She's the head of the company again.
Yeah, multiverse.
All right, Seth.
I mean,
you got your answer.
In a very in-character answer, my favorite member of the stable is Seth Kabrinsky.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I don't like my own character the most, like why am I playing him?
All right, this is a guy who wakes up in the morning. He's like, I look in the mirror, I see my favorite person. Personal affirmations.
And then what is favorite person in the stable, favorite NPC, and then favorite audience member. So I think my favorite NPC was definitely Saya Jade Falcon for sure. And then
of course it's an NPC I didn't make. Perfect.
Like Saya Jade. Well, but you did role play her, which is why I enjoyed her.
But I didn't write her. I'm not the one who created Saya. That was just to remind everyone. That was one of the audience NPCs that got added to the stable.
Yeah. And then my favorite audience member. Man, there's a lot.
It's also myself. Big Spoon, watched the show. I live tweeted about it.
I've got a investor persona, like No, probably. Man, it's tough, but so probably is it Omar Krieg?
Yeah,
the guy behind Walunga Enterprises. I think he came in. I think like mid
late.
season 2.
It was pretty late.
Season 2. But he was one of the audience members I probably interacted with the most outside the show, and he hooked me up, man. He was always paying for my repairs, like so. Bills. Yeah.
All right. So my favorite in the stable, I was devastated when Kyle died, but to not pick myself, my favorite person in the stable was Hillbilly. I think like a lot of characters went through a lot of change and they sort of became the victims of their circumstances. And Hillbilly held on to himself the entire show.
Yeah.
And that I thought
I'd say he
was,
had
with
the best
everything going
attitude.
on, that was a commendable strength of character for somebody who had lots of opportunity to fall into the pit that was everything happening on Solaris. But all the way up to the end, he kept his integrity. I thought that was great. I'm real happy that he is the number one unlimited. That's the legacy of the stable. So
I appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah. Hillbilly
Yeah,
is
I mean, like
definitely
I
the
said,
guy
I
that-
wrote down bullet points for him originally, and independent and fun loving was kind of the base, right? So just like, you know, kind of stay free of all the BS
Like
and have some fun.
when the mafia came in, when he accidentally killed, like all these things all put together, Schmau coming back. I thought I even like a little bit of my personal attachment to Hillbilly came in with Carl when Carl decided to do that survival retreat. It was like, no, like I respect you because of your strength of character. Be yourself. Don't let this shit get in your way. Let's go somewhere where you're only with yourself so that you can reconnect with yourself.
Yeah, I had fun with that.
My favorite NPC was Omega Tanaga. I really enjoyed.
Really, the man who killed you.
Yes, I really enjoyed how. Man, I just really enjoyed the character. Like he was an absolute straight asshole, which was great, but then he had legitimate reasons to be angry, and that made it even better. He wasn't just douchey because he was douchey. He
I
had,
mean, he was a literal slave to his circumstances.
yeah. And I really like that. I'm glad that I got the I gave the opportunity for that information to come out. He was my favorite NPC for sure. As far as my favorite audience member,
It's also Spoon.
I want to just collectively say that my favorite people were the ones who decided to take the time to politely reach out to me to commiserate over the death of Kyle.
Yeah, but if you had to pick one, gun to your head, Gauss rifle to your cockpit. Again.
It's
Oh
too
God,
real.
why is this so familiar? Man, I don't know.
All right, you can think on that.
Who I know I'm brain farting, but whoever decided to put in Saya gave me an opportunity for Kyle to grow a lot.
That's Lawson.
So Lawson, yeah. Thank you for giving me an NPC to completely stall my XP gain and not make my character grow.
I'm also backing Hillbilly. I had so much fun. The scenes that we did together, Ludeman, it was awesome, and being able to be in the backstory episode of Cattle Tech.
So much fun.
That was. My wife's not the biggest, RPG, and especially not the biggest RPG watcher, but I got her to sit and watch that episode of Cattle Tech, and she laughed her ass off the whole time.
Oh, that's great.
So...
That makes me super happy.
NPC, I gotta give it to Uncle Owen, Ewan LeBrain. That episode in the Gladiator Hall where it was just, me and Arthur talking, screaming at each other in bad Scottish accents.
So good.
That honestly, that was probably my favorite episode.
Yeah.
I want to point out
that just that, that scene.
2 players chose people they killed as favorite NPCs.
I didn't kill Omega Tanaga. Omega Tanaga killed me. Oh, yeah, you did.
Which I apologize to Lawson for doing so.
So all 3 of us have picked favorite NPCs that involve death.
Did you finish hunting?
Favorite audience member?
That's right. That's the last one.
I didn't plan to kill him.
I know you didn't plan to kill him. That was just beautiful that you did.
Right? Exactly.
You managed to turn the Highlanders against you time and time again by your own actions.
Right?
I just couldn't stop.
But nope. Favorite investor, Lord Prettybeard just kept me repaired the whole season. An honorable mention to Candalis for giving me that amazing Mackie for my death scene.
That we had that conversation. And when that episode was happening, I was like,
I mean,
I'm trying to imagine the reaction of the audience being like, "What are you doing, Hunter?"
I told Arthur at the very beginning of season 3 when he said we wanted to do the tournament arc. I says, you know, I'm not just being an asshole here. Hunter either needs to win or he needs to die. Like Hunter's story can't end either with him either being on top or being dead. Like he would not settle into a life of quiet mediocrity. And I wrote his, you know, backstory between seasons 2 and 3 to be like super, super dark. Like he had no choices left. You know, everyone had turned on him, including the Highlanders again. And you know, he had nothing left. So the fact that the Mackie was his smoking tomb, you know, that worked out pretty good, you know.
I also thought it was interesting just thinking about it myself when we were having the scene. I was like, you know, the way the bracket lined up, I think if it had lined up with almost anybody else, they would have tried in some way to talk you out of your like super finality. But Carl, being as hardline as he is, would have just saw it as like a, oh yeah, you don't want to be Salama. Absolutely. I'll do this for you. This is this is an honorable move I wasn't expecting. I will attend your funeral. Imagine him trying to have that conversation with Hillbilly.
Oh my god, yeah.
Hey, if I'm losing, I'm gonna need you to kill me.
There's so much more.
Did we get your answers yet, Ludeman?
No, not yet. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready. So what was it? Let's see. Favorite stable member. Honestly, I have to give it up to Kyle Morgan. The storyline there was fantastic. I would have loved to have seen it continue, but the way it wrapped up with Omega and this entire storyline there was just like beautiful. And he set up one of my favorite just comedic moments in the series where Seth and Kyle were having one of their duo episodes, and they're walking away having a nice conversation, and then AP, you jumped in with your voiceover, and there was a fake out where you thought it was about them, but it was about the Who's the Con TV show in the Billboard fan. And I just remember dying laughing at that point. Just like
I don't remember that, but it sounds like something brilliant I do. So
Yeah, I think it was the jet skis episode.
Yeah,
right?
The jet skis.
That one was full of so many beautiful memes. Like it was just chef's kiss.
Let's just go on jet skis and park in the middle of the river where we know nobody can hear us.
Yeah.
So I can try to apologize to you for stuff that I can't talk to you about and ask you to just trust me blindly.
Exactly.
And Who's the Con was so memeing.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It was a hotbed.
It was so great though.
It
I
was.
loved it. NPC wise, I mean, obviously Vimy Jewel set all that up. Shout out to all my interns. And yeah, like Vimy, he was wonderful because I feel like he really set the stage for you to just decide that each clan had a specific accent in that way.
You mean Vimy Jewel? Vimy Diamond Shock?
I appreciated that running meme very
Vimy
much. So.
Vimy was great.
Yeah.
I like how, I don't know if you had any
It all tied
expectation for it
together.
to succeed when he was like, you know, that guy's dishonorable. You should totally bow out of this fight. And Carl was like, yeah, you're right. I'm done.
It was just something Vimy would do.
Yeah.
Favorite what's the last one? Oh, audience member.
Oh, audience member. Yeah. I mean, there were a bunch of awesome people. Like I really appreciate everyone. I had a ton of positive interactions. So I mean, I don't know. I can't picking just one is so hard, but like shout out to Sun Spirit for all the like avatars that he did for everybody and like the fun mech builds. Those were really like I appreciated all the feedback and conversation around those pieces. And Ratchet and Gamble Hashin, right? Like
Yeah, dude.
he was everywhere. So
Like jumping back in on that, like I will say probably one of my like highlights for this show and favorite things is like the and I know you've had bad experiences in the past, AP, but I think the audience interaction with this show was really fantastic. Like
yeah.
I never had a bad interaction with anybody, and there were a ton of people out there who really I assume really enjoyed it because they were engaging with the show and the content, and spending that wealth to get us things basically.
Yeah.
It took years to cultivate a community where I felt comfortable doing it again. So, shout out to everybody for being on their best behavior. I can tell you guys my favorite Gladiator, and I'm actually shocked it was nobody else's favorite Gladiator. Cosmo, for me, was such an interesting challenge because Dunamis asked me for something very specific. He wanted to live the Justin Allard experience. But if you read the books, the Justin Allard experience is fucking horrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, it really is.
He is a legend in the BattleTech community, and like his death is a massive hole that has to be filled by his son, who is equally skilled. Just all the like spycraft, playing as what would eventually become his wife was such a challenge because I wanted someone who was on paper the opposite of him, and then I'd point and be like, she's the total opposite of you. But in the end, it would be revealed that they basically have like similar ways of thinking, just opposite ways of doing it. That was incredibly tough to pull off, and I think I did it. Tormenting Dunamis essentially was his character arc, making every action he did somehow become worse.
Back and bite him in the ass.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's so many times where I would send like shoot him a message after watching his episode, but like, oh, that didn't go well for you, did it, huh?
What I think was
sort of interesting, being like we had all these things going on, the meta plot, our interactions with each other, and Dunamis was off on the side just digging his own hole. He was too busy screwing himself to get screwed by us.
So I think more than anybody else, Dunamis had a storyline where I would mention things and no one would ever follow up on it. Like there was so much, like the pierogi place and like the grandmother who was in the Navy and like all these different side things. And he was like, I want to follow all of them. And then I forgot about half of them because I'm so busy doing all of these things. Like he was constantly doing stuff and forgetting about the other half. And I was just like, this is immensely entertaining to me because the things you forgot are so important that they will come back to bite you.
Yeah. He showed me his notes once, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude, you have so much stuff to keep track of."
I mean, he wanted to play an undercover spy in Solaris, so he got that. He got that arc. For me, favorite NPC. I think it was
Elizabeth Carmelian.
Yeah. I like Elizabeth, but I think I like Ro a lot more.
He was on my list.
I
Yeah,
wish
he was
we
on
had
my
seen
list.
more of
Yeah.
Ro,
Yeah, he really
especially in season
faded
3.
in the later seasons. But I think he was kind of way more important early on, and he was really formative to Saya Jade Falcon's storyline. Like he was if there was like a engine, he was the starter on that storyline because he was the key to calling back to Clan Jade Falcon for her. But he was also the key whenever there wasn't somebody clan around. He was there to remind people like what clan stuff was going on He was also wrapped up like tangentially in the mafia stuff. He was just juggling so many things, and he was involved in the referee conspiracy because the referees knew that he was betting on fights by using, incredibly intricate algorithms. He had a lot going on, and he played everybody in the process. And it was mostly just me going back and like, I don't know that anyone's going to believe that this guy's like totally owning this, but all right, this is his plan now. And I was like, shit, I can't believe that worked.
and yet another character where, when he was your friend, you went, okay, what's going on? What's the deal? What's his angle? Like how is he being a villain here? I think it's mostly the voice.
I
Wasn't
think
it Cosmo
I
that
treated him
bought-
totally
that
like
bought
he was
him-
legit with me.
Cosmo went into the battle with the wager, and Kyle wrote the contract.
Yeah.
And then Cosmo decided this guy's too creepy for me and never did another scene with him for the entirety of the
I mean, he
show.
was busy with the other 10 things he was trying to do.
You had wise
Honestly-
lobsters to take care of.
Like I was a little bit suspicious of Jay. I was a little suspicious of a couple other people. Ro and his showing up all the time when Kyle was trying to do things and being like, don't worry, I'm conveniently here with convenient answers, was incredibly suspicious. And I, as a player, was like, what is Ro doing to Kyle?
He was watching Saya. That was his sole purpose, was if he was ever going to have a shot of going back to Clan Jade Falcon, he needed to be able to go back to the clan with a warrior and say, I didn't betray you. Look, ask her.
Yeah.
And that meant training her to be a warrior. And you let her be trained as a warrior, which worked perfectly for him because that's what he wanted.
I mean, from Kyle's perspective, he was like, well, I understand that this is what you want. We talked, so I will do my best to train you as a warrior. And hey, there's this guy being real helpful on the side, giving me answers to make this easier.
Win-win-win.
As far as my favorite audience member, all of the audience members are my favorite audience member, and I'm the only one here who can say that. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, audience.
Yeah, if we go ahead and try to put a Gauss rifle to your cockpit, rule 0, it vanishes.
Oh man.
I loved the ads that you did during season 1.
Jesus Christ, they took so much time to make.
They were
Oh,
a lot
can
of
only
fun.
They're
imagine.
awesome.
They were
Having
fantastic.
having done, some soundboard work for some of my intros. I totally understand the time that it had to take to do all of that.
Like, I watched everybody's episodes, but I didn't think going into this I was going to watch my own because I knew what happens. I was there. But when the ads and stuff were going, or the scrolling stories on the bottom, I was like, well, now I have to watch my own episodes to get all the stories.
Yeah,
There it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I get the extra views there.
That's right.
There were several times in when like you would reference a scroll from what, like, it was like, the episode after mine, and you would reference a scroll, and I went, what? That never happened. And then I'd have to go back and watch my episode and then be like, oh shit.
I did that too.
Oh,
thought
the
the,
scrolls.
I thought the info, the scrolls were great.
Yeah,
Whether it
a lot of
was game pertinent data or just like background pertinent information that was being put out, some extra lore stuff, I thought it was great.
I have to admit, the news thing kind of fell off in the 3rd season because of the Civil War story arc eating up. There were a lot of stories that I ripped literally from the headlines, and I thought, this actually happened, and it still sounds too ridiculous to add to BattleTech. Like, no one would. No, it happened. It happened 2 weeks ago in real life, and if I mentioned it in BattleTech, people would be like, "That's ridiculous. That's fantasy. That's made up." It's like, this is gonna be really awkward. Yeah, and I wanted to do the multiple news point of views, but that also ended up really clunky. A lot of people just chose to go with Duncan Fisher. Shout out to George Ledoux for making a special exception so that we could get the George Ledoux voiceover for the final episode.
I actually
really fun.
I actually, going back to what your best moment was that was my best moment. Was George Liddell go, Warwolf is the champ, and I was like,
I could cue that up real
Taking
quick
that
if you want to hear it
hey,
again.
I'll listen, man. I'll listen to that thing every day.
Oh, I deleted it from my soundboard. All right.
Ooh.
You just give me a couple minutes. I'll get it back here. Go about your business.
I will say, I have another question for you, AP. Whatever
Yes.
happened to Mobius 1 and was it Camelot Stables?
They all-
Excalibur
They were
Stables?
all so Mobius 1 wasn't, but the Camelot stable all got Isorlud by Vimy, and they were all in
Oh.
training to become Diamond Shark pilots.
And then
When
what
he went
what
home,
happened?
they went home. They're
Oh,
in the Diamond
so,
Shark.
So what happened to the mysterious ribbon fighter?
I had a storyline for if we had a aerospace pilot, but the only aerospace pilot we had quit as soon as his minion died. So I just kind of
Well, and as I realized, it was like, okay, it's gonna be like 2/3 of the season before I'm either a 3-4 or a 4-4 or because I don't remember what I started as, but it was not good. And I'm like, I'm not willing to risk that and have one bad control roll, and then I'm
Yeah.
nose down in the
I
dirt.
always prioritize piloting over gunnery, like by far for aerospace.
That's what the
folks.
luck
That's-
SPA is for.
Oh, no.
Well, I thought that too, and he got killed with Lucky 4. So
Yeah.
That's fair.
you can't
That's
lucky
very
the
fair.
other
You know
guys
what?
roll.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I relied on the whole time. It didn't. Yeah.
the
I had real big plans for Kyle. For anybody who was a fan and wanted to know what I would have done with him, the couple of things that I came up with, I plan to use that Marauder for season 1 and then move up to a Marauder 2C for season 2. And the only change was going to be squeezing a second LB10 on it. Otherwise, it's going to be the same movement profile, the same energy weapons. It was just going to keep doing what he was doing.
I mean, with your luck, it would have been fantastic.
And at that point, I had planned to have picked up Sandblaster for the Omega Tanaga fight. That didn't happen. So I would have really leaned into the LB10 thing.
Mm.
I also I was trying to find a way to fit an LB10 on a lamb for Kyle.
you're a monster.
Oh
So he
my
could just
God.
fly around. It was going to be terrible because lambs are they're great, but they're not good.
They're awful.
So I thought it was going to be fun. I also was going to try to talk to AP and Spoon about an in-between season thing for Clan Morgan to travel to Clan Space and get Seth back and some other assets.
That would have been a great way for Seth to come back, but not Kyle.
Yeah.
So I figured, and I've already talked to the original artist that did the Kyle art to have some Kyle art done up with some horrific scarring across his face.
That is very clan. A lot of clanners, older clanners, have horrific scarring.
So he could have come back and been like, it was awful. I barely made it out, but I got what I came for and some other stuff.
He has to speak raspy too. I got what I came for.
Yeah, like from all the heat inhalation just damaging his lungs and throat. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
One of my vocal cords is paralyzed in the clan homeworld. The things I saw there.
Because I thought it would have been a great in between thing for Kyle to come into season 2 and have it finally have had the time needed to realize that all his choices that he made in season 1 were absolutely terrible. So because he died not realizing how bad it was until the final moment going, I really did this to myself, didn't I?
All right, Spoon, I got this thing queued up. I can't hear it, by the way, so only you guys will get to revel in this.
Hello, Mech fans. Duncan Fisher here. You hate to see
Will we?
Nope.
Nothing? No?
Will we?
All right, hold on. I have to figure this one out. Oh, yeah,
All right,
okay.
well,
No, the audience heard it.
Soundboard struggle.
Sorry, I said it to go out through my speakers, not through my microphone. That's the problem. Here we go. All right, just give me a sec.
Hello, Mech fans. Duncan Fisher here. You hate to see the grand tournament cancelled, but with Carl Delvillar's machine more air conditioner than mech, the double elimination will stand. The War Wolf will remain the 3062 champion. Maybe next year, the jump ship trip will be worth it. Well, that's not true. Here at the Coliseum, the corn dogs are worth the trip from even the periphery. Until next time, I'm Duncan Fisher, saying we'll see you in the arena.
So good. I want to point out that Hillbilly's like story through Solaris Knights kind of is bookended by losing to Seth. The Irby Derby. You took
So
me
much
out
fun.
there.
Yeah.
I'm so sad that I
The
missed the Derby
narrative.
Yeah, my best moment was in an Irby. That's what I was
Yeah,
going to
oh
say
man,
earlier.
that one shotter, dude.
The
that was
one
such a
shot,
good
one
moment.
kill.
Very fun.
So I know that in this not quite canon thing, Carl Deviller got his Tekken ending, but what would have other people chosen for their endings?
Oh, not
Aside-
quite canon. What was that? That's totally canon as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
What happened?
You managed to not shit on the actual BattleTech canon in the process, so it's good enough for me.
I suppose that's fair
Yeah.
enough.
I'll accept it as canon.
Yeah.
That's-
I'm totally okay with that. But what of other people? What sort of epilogues would you have chosen for your characters had you become the champion?
I mean, at the end of season 2, I'd already said mine, which was basically getting a dropship and essentially becoming a mobile film studio and getting the hell out of the drama.
How many more Immortal Warriors would he have been responsible
Right,
for?
exactly.
I really enjoyed that, by the way. When he got called in to tentatively take over Immortal Warrior, I was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Glimo, where's
What would,
where
yeah,
else-
Glimo,
where would
I am
Hunter have
curious.
gone? Like-
What is
Probably
Hunter's
most, yeah.
ultimate ending had he not
Yeah,
died?
yeah. Especially going from the win or die, basically, that you were talking about earlier.
I honestly didn't ever think about it that hard because I figured there was no way that he was going to survive.
So the Highlanders have a
feel
rough
that.
time after the Civil War. I think they stay out of it, but then they get real deep in the shit during the what's the Black May crisis, where Sun Tzu's sister begins chemically gassing people, and the Highlanders get some shit because they are basically the First Lord's bodyguards. And then the jihad happens and they get absolutely destroyed, and then they basically just are forced to join the Republic of the Sphere as a military unit. They're no longer mercenaries. They're like forced to become a house military unit. And it doesn't go well for them.
Yeah, that is a true downhill, just constant. Oh, that's rough. Yeah.
A huge part of the first half of Dark Ages is the Northwind Highlanders basically losing everything until they're down to like a regiment, and that's it.
I had this one footnote at the end of my notes that said possible hook if Hunter survives. Harbinger pulls Hunter into Word of Blake in the epilogue.
Oh, that's
no.
right. We talked about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
we talked about Fake Year. Yeah.
Then
The
Hunter
crossover.
goes on to be part of the force that captures Northwind during the jihad.
Oh, Jesus.
This is what you get for kicking me out.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was the 2-sentence little thing that I put at the end of my notes of if Hunter did go all the way.
Would have been a
Iron
really
Man.
awkward.
Hey, we got a favorite.
That would have been a really awkward church meeting about the time the two of us showed up.
I think Seth's like Tekken ending. Oh man, so either like,
Ilkad.
so he has basically kind of two kind of paths. One is like the good path where he fights in the Civil War on Davian's side, and then goes back to Ark Royal and basically lives out the rest of his life as a star captain or whatever in Alpha Galaxy. And then the other path, which I think is probably the more likely one, is that he stays on Solaris and just keeps fighting until eventually he gets killed because he gets slow. Like he just, tries as hard as he can to stay on top and then doesn't make it.
This town just eats you up.
Yeah, I feel like Asator would have gone down a similar path if he won, because it would have been like the first major sign that he actually could do this and didn't have to keep crawling back to the Merc company that was sponsoring him the whole time.
I want to be honest with you, Sonar. There was a alternative final episode where I was going to ask you to join me with Linhilder and Astrid. And once the fight got underway, the three of you would show up to kill the Clanners and storm the Ghost Bear
I would have
compound.
loved it.
Oh, shit, dude,
So that their fight would have turned from
perfect sense.
Wanted the person coming in with the chair. Let's do this.
Except for it's not with a steel chair, it's with a bunch of C4.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, that makes perfect sense too, because he was like, I have this huge backstory I didn't get to lean on too hard during season 3, where he had become quite radicalized. He was part of the founding members of Moltstant, the resistance unit that ends up becoming Word of Blake infested later on. So, that plus like a tie-in with Varen, just always supporting the bullshit he was doing. I think it just made sense that way.
I scrubbed it because I really wanted it to be about those two players who had made it to the end, but I very seriously considered it, especially because Linhilder would have shown up in Seth's Venom.
Oh shit. Oh no. That mecha is fucking scary, dude.
Yeah.
For a 35 counter, oh.
All right, listen, I got dialogue lines that were written out.
I would have given you the updated version too, and that one with maces. And that's oh my god, dude.
Damn.
Yeah, man. It's rough.
That's a little alternative canon that never happened, but could have very seriously considered having that happen, just so that we could see what would happen if a fight got interrupted midway through. I'm kind of glad we kept it the way it did, because that shit turned out fucking, what's the word the kids use, based?
Well, it's pretty base.
Seth got destroyed.
Those ATMs, man. As soon as it switched to the high explosives, I was like, oh fuck, there's no way I'm winning
Yeah,
this
it's
fight.
too much. This is raw numbers
Yeah.
at that point.
Well, Varen, I got some questions for you. Let me just speed run them.
To answer first.
Sure. We'll finish it.
What would have been your Tekken ending for Hillbilly?
Oh, I had said yeah. So he would his mobile film studio.
Yeah. No, he said it was
Oh,
Stonar
yeah.
who hasn't done his ending.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I guess I would have burnt myself out, like I was saying after Spoon, just, that taste of success after so many, setbacks would have been just too tantalizing for him. He probably would have just kept fighting until he died, honestly.
Okay. Varen, favorite stable member, favorite NPC, and favorite audience member.
Favorite stable member probably has to go to our friend Sifu Sokolov.
There it is. Someone agreed with me.
man.
Finally, it happened.
man.
There was a glorious second when it really looked like Nicholas was going to end up in with the crime syndicates, and I wanted it so bad for us to have a gang war between the two of us. The problem is that A, he didn't go gangster, and B, my gangster shit got completely fucking nuked from orbit and almost immediately before I got to do much with it. So it was like, no, the gang war. Ah.
I think Texas Red would disagree. I think you were in
It's
long
true.
enough.
I only got to gangster murder one guy. But yeah, no, it was. I think that like Nicholas Sokolov had a lot of really hilarious just subplots that kept popping up. He had great interactions with other characters as things
Yeah.
kind of crossed over. Getting almost like treason kiboshed by the Capella Confederation because
My
me and
goodness.
because me
Yes.
and Seth got into a fucking shadow war at the end.
Yeah.
And we straight up almost got Nicholas killed without either of us hardly doing anything.
Yeah, it would have just been collateral damage.
Yeah, major collateral damage.
Fucking incredible. Like, and the entire time, Dynamis is just taking it on the chin like a champ. And it's great. Also, you gotta give some points to the guy who he like doubles down and is like, I am the light mech motherfucker. Let's go. And I got
He
mad
would have been
respect for him.
destroyed in these finales. I'm
Oh, for
just
sure.
yeah,
Oh.
for sure.
Well,
What
that or he
if
would
he
have
won?
or he would have had to constantly like gentleman's agreement like me and Pondo round one where it's like, all right, we'll bring 55 tonners, we'll do some medium mechs instead of everybody bringing 100-ton assaults every match.
I don't know. I feel like the investors might have rallied around him.
They might have
Mech
been
after mech.
They
they're
might
shooting
have.
into
He
his
was-
lap.
It, but
wasn't
if you
on the
lose
finger.
once, you're out. So it doesn't matter how many mechs you have.
No,
He was an audience favorite. I'm sure if he was like, "Hey, I would like a shot. Can I have some tonnage?" He would have ended up with like 10 assault mechs overnight.
Exactly.
So
All designed around how fast could this go?
It's a charger.
They're
Yeah.
all
Can we-
chargers.
yeah, can we make a charge Atlas?
He can just retake Heligoland with his own personal like regiment of mechs that he owns.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so many mechs.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Favorite NPC.
Omega Tanaga like by a mile. I feel
Wow,
like
it shows up a lot, I guess.
Omega Tanaga was fucking awesome. Big Tony Bertoli, I felt like if he had more screen time would have been fun.
Yeah.
No, the Mafia arc was over. I wasn't gonna keep bringing him
See,
back.
that was kind of the. That was
I just
kind of
wanted to scare people with him.
Yeah, I felt
Mission
like Big Tony.
accomplished there. You got
Big
it,
Tony
you
would have
did
been
it.
a good foil if Mafia kept going to season 2 like planned.
You totally sucked me in. I had no idea that it was Ibrahim until that last reveal.
Amazing.
Like I fully thought that it was Big Tony fucking with Hunter.
Good.
Yeah. I liked Ibrahim. Ibrahim was also a strong contender. Specifically because it's Solaris. You gotta have the smarmy, like, dude who constantly makes you want to put a bullet right between his eyes, but you can't.
Mm-hmm. And a corrupt referee, like you gotta have that on Solaris.
I mean, he's a fixer, a power broker, which we hadn't seen a lot of.
Yeah.
And on Solaris, you really need it. He was our Ray Norton for those who read the novels. Oh, that was the first time I think I named a character after a VTuber, and no one noticed.
I mean, you'd have to have players who watch VTubers.
Yeah, I know. None of the audience members noticed either, though. I mean, no one has still noticed.
I get it
They
now
didn't
in
comment
retrospect.
on the YouTube.
Just I thought it was an actual last name. Like, maybe there is someone last name Caribou. Maybe not that exact spelling. I don't know.
Yeah. It was interesting to me how many people wanted to kill him in season 3, even though I was like, no RP, tournament arc only. And Glimo was like, all right, so before my match, I kill Ibrahim Caribou. And I was like, no, stop.
Meanwhile, and then I was like, after my match, I was like, hey, Punch Clock, want to help me kill Ibrahim? And
No!
he was like, no, you're not allowed.
You
I was
had
like,
your
"Oh."
chance.
No, I didn't.
Okay, you did. You were doing other weird shit, killing people. You have to choose who you want to kill carefully.
Dropship.
Damn it, BAP, I was busy.
Oh, that reminds me, great moment. waving to the Jade Falcon elementals and then dying in the same episode, so I couldn't tell anyone.
Oh my god!
Oh, that was
Yeah.
amazing.
Just waving to them in the helicopter. I was like, yeah, I'll tell about it after the match, just in case I need to make a roll and I
And
need my
then-
edge for it, and then died.
Goss
There were a
headshot,
lot of
yeah.
intel fails during that
Oh,
time.
Okay,
Team-
like a
team
week and a half
spirit.
later.
Not
Oh,
high.
go ahead.
Team spirit.
Team secret, yeah. It's okay. A week and a half later, they almost got framed for a apartment building getting bombed.
Who's your favorite audience member?
Favorite audience member. Ooh, that's a toughie. I'm gonna be honest. Part of me has gotta go out for Walunga Enterprise, mostly just because I really loved that like Waylon Yutani
Yeah, dude.
legally distinct Waylon Yutani
Yeah.
memes. That shit was so funny. Also Walunga Enterprise, I don't know if that ever actually got revealed, but I'm pretty sure Walunga Enterprise was actually like a Word of Blake front towards the end there. At the very least, he was sending me a lot of messages that made it suggest that he was a little more into the Kool-Aid than originally was anticipated.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he just liked the two of us doing the yes at each other in DMs. But yeah. And honestly, what was the artist, artist that did the comics for Asator's character?
Sonalar.
Don, yeah. I liked their stuff that they had going on early on. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
That was a good time. I enjoyed a lot of that background Irby incarnation stuff.
Hell yeah. Gave me more interesting side plot just automatically.
One of the other questions that I asked the rest of the cast here is what was your motivation and inspiration for Ivan Isanko / Adam Kaseki / the Ghost of the Arena?
Yeah.
So originally the whole thing is that Solaris is like a crime den of scum and villainy. And I wanted to be it felt like a lot of the characters that we had seen were that people had made in the playtest and stuff were generally pretty upstanding individuals for the most part. And I felt like you can't have a lot of them were self-centered, egotistical and stuff like that. But there was I felt like for Solaris, you really need a guy who's just really bad. Somebody who's nasty and works for nasty people and does nasty things, and that's just kind of their deal. And I wanted to kind of do that as sort of a low-key thing. While,
You did not keep it low key, brother.
And then what happened was it got accelerated way faster than it got away from me very
The curse
quickly.
is real.
Limo.
Yeah, it got accelerated from me
Made too many
extremely
good
quickly.
rolls.
Yeah. And then it was well, now what is a nasty dude when his cover's blown? He gets nastier to try and put the genie back in the bottle. And it just went from there.
I like the scene where you shot somebody and Glima watched it. That was a good one.
Hey, I didn't even shoot him. I just stabbed him in the chest and kicked him off a board.
Sure. You killed somebody.
Oh yeah, straight up murder.
What do you think was the highest and lowest point for Ivan or his alter egos?
Honestly, the lowest point for Ivan
Was when he was physically held in an underground prison. That was the literal lowest point he could be at on the planet.
Hoping the moronic rich playboy could claim him so he didn't just get killed quietly.
Oh no, that was fine. Actually, Ivan was very at home in that situation and had a pretty good idea of exactly how that was going to go. Specifically because he got exactly what he wanted out of that. But the lowest point probably was the fact that was really just when Glimo blew it wide open and just this entire thing that he worked for and this plan that he had. Ivan was going to have a legitimate choice between his mafia ties and like kind of just sort of becoming the character that was fake. And he was trying to work towards just wanting he kind of the whole thing was I wanted to have an arc where basically he got addicted to winning. And so when the mafia started telling him to fuck stuff up, he was like, no, I like winning. But then like I think his lowest point was probably just getting his entire like his options taken away from him by the fact that somebody just blew it wide open due to the fact that somebody else started sabotaging mechs in a stable with over half mech tech gladiators. Because Yuri's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. How many people started or got into mech tech with their characters.
Yeah. But yeah, that was his lowest point. His highest point was probably
the skidding, sliding back shot.
I mean,
Jesus.
honestly, straight up taking out Primo's like critting Primo's knee and taking out a bunch of leg actuators and knocking the mech out after a skid. Like, that was awesome. That probably was the high point. He peaked early.
That was, I mean, Glimo's high point was his first match. So
yeah. The other one I'd say is like I
mean, I think the clan dropship's pretty big.
The clan dropship was awesome. Getting away with that was pretty ballin'. I think that was probably his high point later on.
So speaking of that operation, because it seemed like Crime Prince Boy was trying to recruit a Black Warrior for the op.
Yeah.
He would have gone on the op, but he would have I'd been thinking about it, and I figured if he got the offer, he was going to go to Vimy and negotiate for critical information to see how much Vimy would be willing to pay him for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wasn't going to pay him enough, he was going to give him some other unimportant information. But if he was going to pay him enough, the guys in the dropship would have been waiting. Mm-hmm. And it would have been like a betrayal, payday, shot in the back, and then go home.
Yeah, which is very funny because if you had actually lived long enough to become part of the op, I was getting ready to I had a whole bunch of ideas for like us to do PvP double cross. I was gonna send you like
you and I messaged a lot about PvP potential.
Yeah. I think I messaged
across multiple characters. We've messaged about PvP.
I think out of the cast members, I think 3 different people I had conversations about initiating PvP with at length.
Jesus, you make it sound so clanner. Hey, bro, you want to initiate PvP with me, bro?
Because nobody's playing. Unless you're explicitly upfront with about that stuff. Nobody's really wanting to show up to the RPG game to get shot in the face, unless that's what they signed on for.
Right.
Especially with somebody as underhanded as like the way it probably would have gone down. So like I remember at first me and Glimo talked a little bit about it, but we kind of the clock ran out on us.
Yep.
And then it was me and Kane talking about it. Then me and Seth talking about it. And honestly, as far as the Tekken endings go, the Tekken ending for Ivan Asanko was probably to kill Seth.
No, the Tekken ending for Ivan Asanko was he becomes the champion and he gets taken away for tax evasion.
Yeah.
I wrote yours for you at the start of the season. As soon as you revealed yourself, I was like, boom, I flipped my trap card over. I got you now.
Hey,
I very much did appreciate that, and I know that this didn't always come across in the show because the episodes were limited, and so like most of the audience just saw our reactions. But like Baron was super upfront with the rest of us players about the asshole that he wanted to be, and to make sure that we wanted to play with that, and that's, I think, really important in a role-playing group.
Yeah, I think that's something that I can say that I enjoyed with everybody that I interacted with between episodes. Not even necessarily from a PvP thing, although I do appreciate the conversations with Baron before either of us tried to initiate anything, to make sure that, everything's good to go, and sometimes remembering to tell AP that we had these conversations.
Yeah, motherfuckers. You almost. You guys are like, we went into the inner server versus clan fight, and you guys are like, oh, we already discussed it. This is a possibility. I'm like, y'all 7 motherfuckers all discuss this shit without me? Where was I in this conversation?
You were in the chat, bro. Some of this stuff we talked about in Gladiator.
Well, that's true. Some of it you did, but a lot of you had private conversations about it and then would ass pull it on me, and I'd be like, all right, shit, kill each other, I guess.
That is, and part of that is our fault, because like me and Kane wanted me and Kane shooting at each other to be a surprise to the other players, and so we did just forget. We did just forget to tell you. That's our bad.
I did this to James recently, and it has backfired on my character, Andrew Kyron, so critically poorly. I'm going to have to explain how badly I fucked up at the beginning of the next episode on Saturday.
But aside from just those, like all the conversations I had before, like any sort of getting involved in another person's character's like story or outcome, I appreciate everybody in the cast for how open we were to be like, hey, I think it'd be cool to have this scene with your character. Would this be good? Are you not interested? Want to make sure we're on the same page. Don't want to, Shanghai anyone or anything like that. So I appreciate that as a cast, we were very open with each other before making decisions that were going to affect each other's characters.
Yeah. Communication is key.
True.
Shout out to all the mature individuals in the room.
That's right.
Why, hey, don't go that far.
Yeah. Talkative isn't always mature. That's true.
It's not often I get accused of that.
There was no discussion of PvP for me, but Varen and I did talk basically in DMs about how I'd probably be backing him no matter what crazy shit he did. So yeah, and it really did work out that way.
And like that part of so basically second mercenary mission was I think one of my favorite
Don't make me kill you.
No, Glimo was literally just like kapow, and then he's like, hey, Asator, you still want to get involved? He's like, who's Asator?
Hunter. Like Hunter jumping in on the side of the clanners was,
oh my God,
it was one of the like biggest like, oh holy shit, dude, like that's actually
I didn't see it coming at all.
I missed it because
I didn't see like I did not. If anything, the least likely result in my mind was Hunter opening fire in support of the clans against, even if he's a terrorist, a spheroid.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was either going to be that he was going to be disinclined to participate, or maybe he could be convinced to try to back him up against the clanners. But that shot.
Aaron and I had the significant PC glance to make sure we were both okay with this.
Yep.
Because originally I wasn't gonna be involved at all, and then like in between rounds we did the and yeah, like I felt like Hunter's absolute hatred for Baron would absolutely override his hatred for the clans.
Well, and the best part about that too is the fact that you were friends with Adam Kaseki, and then you find out he was Adam, and then you found out he was Ivan Asanko.
Yeah, I was waiting all season for that to blow up in our faces, and I'm surprised it took till the Merc mission for it to happen.
A lot of shit went down at once there, for sure.
Yeah. Losing the Zodiac fucking sucked, though. That not having the Zodiac for season 3 was terrible.
Yeah, man. When that happened, and AP's like, "Oh yeah, that your custom mech," and I just went, "Oh, that can happen? They die, they go away." And I was like, "Oh shit, I need to be more careful."
Yeah, no, it was straight up like I took it out on one mission and I never got it back.
I mean, I knew that it was going to make season 3 a little harder, but I couldn't imagine Carl doing anything else. So,
well,
granted, in his mind, he figured he was just pouring molten metal over your dead body to just enraged, not realizing that you were already the Terminator, or you were about to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing was I was stage 1 Terminator, and that was like, all right, immediate stage 2 time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, my plan for season 3 was to basically rock up to season 3 with nothing but virtual piloting pod mechs and go full Mane Domine. But the issue that I ran into was that the 2 weeks between season 2 and 3 that we had to like submit for our stuff was also like a really rough, busy 2 weeks for me in my personal life, and I got nothing done.
Boy,
So I
do
was
I
like,
feel
oh
that.
no.
Yeah.
I get it.
I don't know if you
wanted to build a virtual piloting pod mech, and maybe I just misread the rules, but it looked like in a 1v1 fight there were way too many ways to just completely blind the cockpit and then like, well, what am I doing? I'm now can't hit.
Yeah, it was high risk, high reward.
Mhm.
The way you do it is every single one of my virtual piloting pod mechs had Angel Elysium.
And you just run it in the counter mode, basically.
Yeah, but you only run it in the counter mode if they have ECM.
Yeah,
and
correct.
realistically, you try to stay outside of 6 hexes. You get a bunch of weapons that have 7 hex optimum range. You bring that loadout against anybody you know who has ECM.
Yeah, that was my problem. I was playing a brawler, so
No.
There was nothing I could do, like if I was gonna get into hatchet range.
Yeah, if you had Angel ECM, it basically would have then you would have been playing as, if you were like a 2-1 by the end, you would have been playing as a 3 or as a 4-3.
Yeah.
In win counter mode. Otherwise, you'd just be blind, which is really rough.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know if you watched are you caught up? Did you watch the last episode?
Yeah.
Okay. So you saw where I tried to be like, yeah, I think Baron would enjoy if we kept running into each other, and you're like, no, he's in prison.
That was very funny.
Listen, I got him.
Hey, you got me until the jihad starts. Then everybody in that prison dies.
Yeah, it's
Baron wakes
not.
up one.
That's
Not
not
good
how
for
the
you.
jihad went on Solaris. I mentioned it in the pre-mission briefing, but the cops on Solaris are basically like, Word of Blake? I'm a member of Word of Blake. Let me go get a rope real quick. Guys, can I get baptized? Do I need a new name? Word of Blake? I love those guys. And they constantly do it. The cops on Solaris canonically betray the people of Solaris over and over again. And this was written like 20 years ago, so don't even say that shit's modern, man. Somebody wrote that in like 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right. What's one storyline that fell away that you wanted to see more of? I say that as we have our last 7 minutes, so this is really the wrap-up question.
Yeah.
What's the dream? If you could have seen some alternative pathway, or alternatively, the show could have been like duos, triples, and lance on lance battles. I don't know if certainly it would have turned out very differently. I don't know if that would have interested y'all.
So I think like alternative storylines. I feel like for me the big one is what if Seth doesn't lose to Kyle Morgan, and Kyle Morgan becomes a
ghost bear,
clan ghost bear, and then on that same note, then it's not Kyle Morgan fighting Omega Tanaga again. It's probably Seth fighting Omega Tanaga again. And like and just a huge because that branches off into a bunch of different stories like Saya and
Okay, the Watcher has got a migraine right now.
It's definitely a different timeline.
What if? Yeah, sure. What's our what if episode for each of you?
I think that's mine.
Yeah.
I feel like Asator would have gone there's definitely a path where instead of trying to toe just walk the very thin line about being for or against clanners, he probably could have easily gone way more anti-clanner way sooner. Just depending if like worse things happen to him, I guess, involving clanners. But then he would have been part of Innersphere Steel and joined up with Hunter more directly about that, and that's about the only difference I can note right off the bat.
My
I feel-
difference would have been a personal life difference. So when season 2 started, I got really busy in my real life, and so I stopped being able to follow basically the rest of the
152 episodes. Yeah, I get that.
It
And
happens.
so I had no, I didn't have any idea until like I eventually caught up, but it wasn't until like the break between seasons 2 and 3. So like I had no idea what was going on with Cosmo. I had no idea about the dropship theft.
To be fair, being caught up in watching the Cosmo episodes as they came out, I still didn't really entirely know what was going on with Cosmo.
True.
I wish I could have had more interaction with the rest of you during season 2. I mean, we had
For sure.
Seth and I had the one massive major fight against Cyan Chime, and that was awesome. But
Mhm.
I wish I could have been more involved in the main storyline for season 2.
Imagine losing your whole endgame villain team in one battle.
Right.
I mean, you gave me Ghost Mech, man. Like, you let me use Ghost Mech.
Man.
I really don't think that's what made the difference in that battle.
No, but
I don't think everybody getting headshot had
No,
anything to do with Ghost
it was
Mech.
my Gauss
See-
rifle headshot in the first round to kill Chime.
That's what I feel like Hillbilly's what if is if he had Gleemo and like Kane's luck in terms of headshots killing people. And like, what does that do to his arc in the show if he's just constantly accidentally offing his opponents?
and still trying to be, the fun.
Yeah, exactly. Can he do it?
The AC-20? Yeah, it just shows up for interviews with like bags under his eyes, looking haunted, just going, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just Immortal Warrior.
30th guy. Like, I don't mean to do it.
Man, it really. I
That
tried to
would have been
depict.
the big change to Hunter's arc. If Hunter hadn't killed Ewan McGregor as
Owen.
his
There you go.
uncle,
LeBrain.
Yeah, when
Ewan LeBrain, it would have been a very different story for Hunter. If Hunter didn't have the incredible headshot luck, I mean, he still won, but didn't have, the headshot Gauss rifles. It
Didn't kill his uncle.
Hunter would have had a very different story.
And I remember thinking about that. I hadn't even considered because I didn't have any 15 damage weapons with Kyle for a reason. I didn't want him to kill anybody. Like even when he fought Seth, and I was like, I'm going to spend my my edge to intentionally miss this headshot because I don't want to kill Seth. And then he
Oh, yeah.
accidentally killed oh boy, Zare One Eye.
Mhm.
And he had his whole like the next 2 or 3 episodes where he was like losing his composure over it because he felt really bad about it and painted his stuff on his mech to carry him into every battle in the future.
Mhm.
I'd already talked to the artist about updating the art in case I accidentally killed someone else to add like something for them on the mech too. Like I think the low-hanging fruit for diverging storyline is if I had gotten that SPA and if it had made the difference and I'd beaten Omega Tanaga and was undefeated season 1.
Mhm.
Making a
How-
push for Kyle stable champion all the way through season 2. Number 1, huh?
I'm super curious to see how that would have been different because like I know that after talking to Omega Tanaga, Kyle was committed after the battle to helping Omega Tanaga go to clan space if he could to try to make sure that he could challenge the
He's
unjust
never-
actions done against him.
He was never going to get back there. He didn't have enough
Hey.
time.
Kyle didn't know that.
They have
He was going to try to help.
once you get the enhanced imaging tattoos, you only have like 2 years to live.
Yeah.
Well, that's, yeah.
So that would have been very different. And of course, I guess the other one is having actually had an arc with the Black Warrior. So
Baron, you got a what if? What if I got away with all my crimes?
You know,
You'd have to pick which part the what if arc starts at.
well, really, it's just I think the big what if is what if Yuri hadn't gone and done the a scheme that was perfectly countered by all of the people in the stable being mech techs.
If the curse was in fact not real.
What if the Mafia storyline had waited until season 2 was planned? Yeah.
Yeah. If the Mafia storyline had a little more time, basically because I think a lot of the scrambling and stuff that I did was trying to figure out, okay, what am I doing this season? Who am I actually talking to? What relationships do I have and stuff? Because I got hard reset every single season because every single season I eventually didn't have enough like roots or like pull with anybody to actually like get anyone to cover my schemes. And so I constantly was getting pulled into the open and fighting for the survival thing every season, which was fun. It was kind of fun to be the recurring like, it was me, Dio, of the show.
Yes.
That brings up a good point for a better answer than not dying. If the Mafia stuff interacting with Kyle's family had happened sooner than his friendship with Seth.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Because Kyle's aversion to the Mafia was because of his fascination with the clans that he picked up by becoming friends with Sergei Wolf and Seth. If he'd never become friends with Seth, then he wouldn't have been interested in the clans so much as it would have just been, Omega Tanaga killed this guy that became my friend. But his friendship with Seth got him to think about how to integrate the parts of clan society that he thought were better. Not all of it, because he didn't think all of it was better. But if he hadn't had that, he would have been much, much more open to the Mafia.
To being a crime lord.
Or just like being totally okay with being like through family association, being in the family, even if he wasn't actively committing crimes or anything. But he would have been open to that too, honestly. Like if he'd married in and they were like, hey, we've got this agent on the ground. He's having a lot of problems. If you want to volunteer, you can help him out. That could have been that could have changed things up for Ivan Asanko as well. Like, I don't know. How's that for a real answer?
There you
Yeah.
AP, what about you?
What if? I don't think I can give one because there are a lot of stories that didn't happen. I'll just say that there are a lot of stories that didn't happen.
Then let me ask you this: out of the stories that never were, which one do you wish had happened?
While I think about that answer and avoid answering it, let me say that our time here is almost up. Let's do some closing thoughts, and then in a few days I'll delete the Gladiator Sable chat and we'll pretend this never happened.
Oh.
Closing thoughts, guys. What a show, Solaris Knights.
Closing thoughts. I had a ton of fun. This has been fantastic. I've really appreciated getting to play with all of you. I would do this again in a heartbeat.
I want to echo that. You all were great, and the folks that couldn't be here tonight, I missed the hell out of Salty Maker. We had some good times.
Yeah.
Definitely missing Cosmo. I know he's got a very good reason to not be here tonight, but doesn't feel the same without those guys. And super shout out to Eric Bulgaris, who came in and played Chris Cross and did a duos match with me. That was super, super, super fun.
Keeping up my habit of naming characters Cross in Battletech as a total mockery of...
I know I wasn't the only one, but this was my first time on anything in any capacity on the internet like this. The invite for the playtest was a surprise, and I was definitely glad to take it. And I didn't think I was going to make it through the playtest. I was like, if I'm totally down to help, like, test the rules to make sure that this is, a little bit more successful. And then when, the people who really know what they're doing continue on with the show, I helped. So then when I, got through the playtest, that was impressive. And I tried to give it, I rode my characters hard because I wanted to do it for the audience. I wanted you guys to have as much fun as I did watching the shows. So
it's basically you and Ver destroyed your characters in equal measure, for sure.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of experiences about this that, like, I don't know. I know some people can appreciate some of the differences between just sitting at a table with your friends and doing something on the internet like this for an audience. But between the rest of the cast and working with AP and all of the incredibly positive interactions I had with people who were like fans of the show, the people that messaged me about Kyle's death, this has been an overwhelmingly positive experience. I've had a lot of fun. The positive interactions I have are the reason why I started asking to volunteer to guest star on stuff, because it's fun to show up in things and do stuff.
AP just has a terrible habit of just killing all your characters.
Yeah.
The dice speak.
Well, it's not always the dice. Sometimes it's the choices.
R.I.P. Philip LeBeau.
Yeah, I think it's been long enough. So yeah, this has been positive enough that I would love to do this sort of thing again. I've already recorded a show that I've done. I just don't do anything live. I'm learning how to do the editing and stuff to put up my own stuff. So
I don't know if you knew this, but Solaris Nights was not live either.
Yeah, I know, but like, I'm recording stuff, but I'm not doing anything live. So, but yeah, as an experiment, just to get into the other parts of this sort of thing, I've learned a lot, and that's what I came into this to do. And I had a great time with people that I'm going to enjoy continuing to talk to afterwards.
For sure.
Yeah.
You can't just say some friendship shit like that.
Well, of course you can, because he's gonna star in the new Shonen game you're running, right?
Shonen game.
We're bringing back what was it? Oh gosh.
Restart.
Yeah.
The true Solaris Grand Champion was the friends we made along the way.
No,
That's right.
no.
Oh, no.
You can't use my own powers against me.
No, I think that means. Yeah.
There is only one Lord of that particular meme.
I'll just
There is another.
echo what everyone has said so far pretty much.
Power.
This is a great cast to play with. I really enjoyed everything from the playtest till now. Like it's been a really fun ride. I think it was also one of the first things that I've done where I've been part of a show on YouTube or actual play. But it was awesome, man. I really enjoyed it. I love BattleTech. So it was really fun to be a part of a very long running game. So yeah.
2 years.
Yeah. It's not quite as long as a time of Total Wear, but it was just as good to me. And the audience, I feel like the audience interaction really kind of made this a very special kind of show.
Yeah. Getting to be a part of something that had so much people who weren't, necessarily on the screen, but like all this behind the scenes stuff and everything, all these people who got involved with stuff. It was a lot of fun to be part of something that got so many people into it. doing their own little things. All the little like side characters and stuff we got to see in the background who never got, voiced or anything because they were, different investor personas and all this different stuff, the messages and the mechs and everything. That was truly, I think, my favorite part of the show, really. Being a part of this with all of the actual accoutrement of like sports fantasy is like was really fun and was a really interesting and cool thing. And the fact that there were real people behind all that stuff, making choices about who to throw their money behind and support was meant. It made the things that we got in the game almost. It was really made them that much more special because it was like, oh no, someone actually bought this for you. That was a person who did that.
And they paid real money to do it too. Just to be clear,
that is true.
this is
That
the
true.
DLC campaign for sure.
Yeah, and it was. I don't know. There was something about that like social layer that made this a really special experience, and I really enjoyed that, and also just all the intertwined nonsense, the getting to be equal parts heel and jobber for many of the members of the cast was a great experience. I had a lot of fun.
And not to discount how shitty the world was when this started. Like, this was a huge
For sure.
Yeah.
thing to be able to, have this. And, we put out a lot of content in 2020 for this show.
One episode every 4 days. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's some crazy shit.
Remember that time when you were recording 3 episodes a week of the
Yeah.
one show, let alone all the others?
Yeah.
How do you do it? How's that possible?
I stopped. I stopped doing it.
Legit.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, it was the era of Animal Crossing. I'll just say that. If you're watching this 20 years in the future and you don't understand what we're talking about, first off, thank God. But second off, I don't think that's going to be the case.
Oh.
Listen, bro, I remember when people were like, this is going to be done in like 6 months. And I was like, you bitch, you better buckle up for years.
This is your
Here we are now.
I was really happy when we were like, yeah, okay, we're doing a season 2. And I was like, well, I'm glad. Like, because
Yeah.
it's sort of the,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
if the show's not successful, people aren't watching it, then having it just be the one and done would have made sense. But I was real happy that it was received well enough that we got to keep doing it.
For sure.
Agreed.
There was... It's plagued me. There was some very serious disparity between which episodes were watched live. Some gladiators were much more popular than others, I think. And some people would rush to watch their favorite gladiators as soon as possible and leave others for like weeks or months later. And I can't confirm that that's the case because, of course, I only have YouTube analytics. It just was weird to me.
Yeah, I mean it's very sequential in a lot of ways. So yeah, that's odd to hear. How do you piece the story back together after that?
I don't know.
That's my question.
I feel like that you probably could. I mean, having skipped around a tiny bit just to catch up and things like that. Just because like there were times when I got behind and I was like, I know I have to watch these episodes before mine, so I know what's going on because this stuff is relevant to me. This stuff
Right.
probably won't be, stuff like that. Like it's very watchable. If you're just like, I am, the hillbilly fanboy out here. I mean, you can watch a lot of the hillbilly stuff and like, yeah, you miss some of the meta plot stuff going on, but
If you were in it for the WWE aspect as opposed to the BattleTech aspect, like you didn't necessarily need the entire storyline of the season arc. Like if you just wanted to watch two gladiators beat the shit out of each other with crazy mechs that you're never going to see anywhere else, like, and I think that is what, that is one of the things that made this show so different from any other BattleTech show out there. There's not a whole lot of 1v1s that happen with
There's not a lot of shows in tabletop RPG that involve PvP.
with
Yeah.
with 50 million C-bill mechs. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Got entire like Merc company budgets going into one mech sometimes. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
I
like,
figured going
I
through
know
the
how much my getting my car mech cost, and I'm assuming that
Oh yeah, there were some
you-
fucking abominations. The Arctos. You'd be better off buying a hyper pulse generator.
Yeah. That
and,
one with the mobile HPG on it, just the whole package there.
and my mech wasn't crazy. I mean, it just was a 100-tonner with a hatchet and a big ass fusion engine and a supercharger. Like, I didn't go the heavy loadouts that some of you all did.
Yeah, you didn't need it. You definitely maximized your form of combat.
yeah, that was truly terrifying.
For sure.
I figured going into the third season that Hunter was going to be in the final fight.
I also thought it would have been Hunter
Yeah.
versus Seth.
That
I
seemed likely.
didn't get the roles in my fight with you.
I know how that
was,
feels.
Like, the dice were against me that day, and it was Hunter's day to die.
Yeah.
If I feel like if I'd gotten past you, I would have had a really good chance of running the table.
Yeah,
You were the
it was
one I was most worried about, and I was thinking too many moves ahead. I was trying to make sure I would have had enough mechs to go the rest of the distance. And the healing mechanic that we had for season 3 made it really tough to do that. So
For
I
sure.
took one of the mechs off the table and decided, all right, well, I've not fought with a missile mech the whole time, so hey, let's see where this Mackie goes. And I think it made a good in canon story for Hunter and Carl to have that conversation, and okay, if I want the honor that that the clans are going to offer, then I have to give up the melee for this fight. I think absolutely I could have, the mechs were in shape that I could have taken you. Like,
yeah.
that
When the
headshot that
firepower
I-
was the Mackie had a slight firepower advantage at a shorter range. They're both super heavily armored. It really did come to the dice.
the PPC headshot
both-
that I missed twice.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
that would have absolutely changed the tone of the battle.
I mean, it was probably going into that, it felt like the most even fight that was probably going to happen just from a numbers point of view. We both had SPAs that had nothing to do with what we were doing.
Mhm.
And our mechs were very similarly laid out, firepower and armor. And at this point, we were all
And let's
basically
face it, I
all
think-
1-2 pilots.
I don't know that it would have been any better if I brought the Super Highlander, because I think you would have just outranged me the whole time, and I wouldn't have, I would never have been able to use my hatchet.
Maybe we'll never know. But it was the dice. Yeah, it should. I
Yeah.
feel like that should have been one of those like Omega Tanaga fights where we end up like both slugged out, but it didn't happen. The dice just didn't want you to move on.
No.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, I feel like I had a real tour
My
of what the
cockpit
dice
has a
can do.
magnet.
hmm
Did we have any more closing thoughts?
Well, I do want to say I really appreciate the opportunity, AP. This is literally
When
the first
sins on
time-
when is sins on Earth, motherfucker?
I don't know.
I watch your Twitch and I
two
see
of
a
these
little
people.
sins on Earth coming soon. I saw that last year.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of shit has happened. I will. simply
I'm gonna
put
be
it that
honest
way.
with you. Sometimes you just got to make executive decisions if you want to make shows happen. That's all
Yeah.
there is to it.
It's reaching that point for sure, dude. But yeah, I mean, you have taught me a lot about running a show, and here you are doing it right now.
Taught you nothing. I've taught you literally
No,
nothing.
I
Take
haven't
no
nothing.
answers from me.
I've integrated nothing.
but there's good ideas out there, like a lot about game design for real. But yeah, really, this had been my first time role playing in any kind of recorded way ever, and I'm so rusty at role playing in general. I think it's been like 7 or 8 years since I'd ever been a character. So yeah, I just really appreciate the opportunity. I thought everybody here was awesome. Just I love interacting with all you guys and those who aren't here right now, but you know who you are. Yeah, that's about it though.
Now,
Any more close?
you thought we were going to forget, but I want to circle back around to what was your story that never was. That
I agree. So the thing is, audience, I'm not really good at these goodbye segments, especially when it comes to BattleTech. I still have yet to rewatch the final episode of Time of Total Warfare successfully, because every time I do, I remember yeah, you were there, Glimo, the intense pain I was in ending that show. It was a nightmare ending that show. It was a confluence of some very bad circumstances. I lost some friendships along the way. The show had not gone well for me. I think that Solaris Knights is better, but again, I don't know what to say at the end, you know? I did this show. I did it for the people who were on the show. I did it for the cast members, and I hope you had fun. Because that's how a show is successful. Here, I'm going to give you one more lesson. This is how a show is successful. If you have very famous people on, and also if the people who are on the show are having fun. Because if the audience sees that the cast members aren't having fun, they'll just fuck off. Because they aren't having fun. So, most important lesson, have famous people or have fun. Have fun. Solaris Knights was definitely rooted in the pandemic era, and I don't know where we are now, man. Like, it's easy to say that November of 2020 was a real fucking dark time, you know? I think we were at the point there where it was masks everywhere and schools were staying home level of shit. I do know that that close to 9 months after that point, a lot of people were having kids. Ludeman, Dunamis. Just saying, there may have been a correlation of a lot of people staying home who needed something to do. Hey, listen, man. Go look at the birth rates in the United States 9 months after the first set of real lockdowns, bro. It is a fucking incredible explosion.
I believe it.
And it's probably going to have a systemic effect in the future, because if you've ever seen the Russian birth rates from when the World War II like battles and purges happened, like every 20 years of the anniversary of those deaths, there is a massive baby fall off because there's just nobody to have kids at that point. You can still see it today in their birth rates. It's crazy how history works. Well, I'm so far off my point right now. That's just so typically me, as Britney Spears would say. Solaris Knights was a insane plan. I took everything I ever learned about running a show and I basically said, fuck it, nothing works. Let's do some weird shit. It's definitely not the most popular BattleTech I've ever done, but I think that the people who watch this show really like it. They like it more than people like other shows. Oath of Endo still has a lot of viewers, but I think that the people who watch Solaris Knights were like Solaris Knights fans 100%. I guess you'd have to be to get through this many fucking episodes. And it helps that the players were also fans of the show. I mean, you just heard Glimo say he couldn't watch anything during season 2, and then he caught up again for season 3 just to be relevant. I mean, that's crazy to me. Thank you, audience. Solaris Knights took effort from all of us during a dark time, and things are different now. I don't know how different, but we're moving on to other stuff, and I guess I said that I would start recruiting for Stars Rising when Solaris Nights was over, and I guess that means tomorrow I probably should work on that recruitment video. Yeah. I'm going to take the lessons I learned from here and apply it to Stars Rising. Stars Rising is going to be an analysis of what if Twitch existed in Dungeons and Dragons. Which, you know, a lot of what we did here had a lot of the audience pushing storylines, pushing NPCs, picking favorites. I wouldn't say they forced mechs on people, but they encouraged you to try new builds, things you hadn't considered for your characters. And I think that would be very interesting to do in Dungeons and Dragons.
Machine gun crab.
Oh my god.
Those 4 fucking infantrymen, dude.
Bro, that fucking machine gun crap was legendary.
No one had anything to deal with infantry. I was like, this whole battle, I'm gonna wreck them. I'm gonna do the classic infantry high cost ratio benefit shit, and then Ludeman showed up and was just like, and I was like, fuck, all right, they're all dead.
Traumatizing himself in the
Yeah, I'm gonna.
One of my favorite.
It's gonna be a slog with all this infantry. They're gonna be killing, with all those PPCs. Like one dude's gonna
field guns. Yeah. It's their time, baby. It's Galier's time.
They're terrifying.
Look, I have used field guns in a real fucking game before. That shit is legit.
Oh yeah.
They were not for our battle.
Tamatoa says no.
Yeah. What if? Honestly, I'll give it to you, Spoon. I think the what if would have been that battle. Would have been if more of you had run into the minefield, if the guy you were fighting who had decided to actually finish could trust the rest of your party to do a one-on-one and he had beaten you. The what if for me was that episode. What if you had lost and you were all captured and like publicly berated and went into the next series of episodes as like publicly disgraced war criminals, essentially, that were just out on parole while they were, because that was a possible ending that I had, you know.
If that tank had managed to find a way to kill Kyle Morgan.
Jesus, what a fight.
That poor King Crab.
Yeah.
Like
taking shots while taking a nap.
Yeah. The sleepy crab.
Hunter would have been riding high because he would have been the only non-war criminal.
Yeah.
Oh no, you were just a regular criminal. Don't worry about that one. I love painting in blood, like I know what you did, and then you were like, "It must be Big Tony," and I was just like, "It's just Ibrahim, man. He's messing with you."
I was so sad that I misplaced my face paint for that episode. I was gonna do the full camo face paint and everything for Kyle being so unable to have any chill on anything. He's just like, "Oh, this sounds fun. Let's do it 110%. Why not?" I'll just go knock down the front door and lay down for the rest of this fight and then wake up so he can walk onto the dropship by himself.
Yeah.
On like what, 11 to wake up.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I basically spent 6 hours hanging out with the guys.
Yeah.
I'm very sad I didn't get to bomb anybody with, what was it, Arrow 4s? You just barely managed to escape the grasp of my most powerful weapon.
Well,
I'm never going to get to use Arrow 4s against players. It's just not going to happen.
It doesn't help
you used
that
them against me.
Yeah, it didn't work very well, did it?
You fucked me up pretty good until I got inside your range. I I had to roll like 4 supercharger rolls in a row to get inside.
Spicy.
Oh man. You know, it was a good time. It really was.
For sure.
It happened. Solaris Nights was a show that happened. Oh, Spoon, you got?
I got a couple of quick numbers. So
okay.
In the Solaris Nights playlist, there's 152 videos and 7,610 views.
For the folks at home, there's going to be 153 videos because it's this one. I'm sorry. So those views only count. Those are not the views from the individual video. Those are the people that watch that playlist specifically from the playlist.
Correct.
It is not the numbers of how many people viewed each video.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
I find that super.
What it means is that a lot of people watch off of YouTube's embedded playlist system, which is great. That's exactly what I want. Give me those engagement numbers. Thank you so much, audience.
Shout out to all of you.
That's
In
it.
2014, I happened to be looking for some Pathfinder videos.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's do this.
And saw Skulls and Shackles, and became a longtime fan of AP. And I'm very chuffed still that you allowed me to guest on A Time of Total War, and and then we've done a whole bunch of stuff since then, including this. So cheers, AP. Thank you very much. It's
We played Sea of Thieves yesterday. Jesus,
We
Glimo.
played Sea of Thieves. We we go back to our pirate roots, or at least my pirate roots with you. And so super grateful to all of to all of the cast that I've been with, and especially this cast. Cheers, guys.
Here.
It's been a lot
Cheers.
of fun.
Cheers.
Not sure how
Yeah.
the rest of all you ended up
Cheers.
on this, but hey,
Yeah.
I got
I
here.
feel
And
I feel like I've come a long way since backseating AP in Twitch chat.
All right,
Well,
that's it.
I'm actualing the BattleTech rules on him.
We got to get these guys home. Some of them have wives and kids. We could sit here and talk forever, but we won't.
I'll
And
stay until you
actually,
turn the lights out.
yeah, but I'm about to. I don't want to get up and turn it off. We're stop recording right now.